school peers, it's pretty hard to intervene. So I want to share with you all what I experienced in those three environments. But real quick before I do that, I want to tell you what we call this why try. Has anybody here ever asked the youth you're working with why try? Why should you go back to class, turn your homework, stop using drugs, stop gangbanging, stop fighting, stop running away? Has anybody ever asked a kid why try? I've had the opportunity to ask tens of thousands of kids that question. I've never gotten two answers. What do you think they say to me? They go, I don't know. So everything I learned as a social worker is you got to start where the child is. You got the greatest theories, you got the greatest ideas, you got the greatest interventions. You could spend $1 million on gang prevention, but guess what the research shows? If they don't know the answer to the question why try, probably what you're doing with them is not going to apply to them. They don't really care. So I thought at the end of the day, I'm going to make sure every child I work with knows the answer to the question why try. That if they try in life, they can access three things: opportunity, freedom, self-respect. The reason why gangs are growing so fast and they're so popular, because guess what? If you want to access opportunity, the gang will give you opportunity. The kids will argue the gang gives them freedom, gives them money, resources, protection, money, prestige, and it definitely gives them, in their world, self-respect. They got status now, they're in the gang. So there's a tremendous payoff to joining a gang, because you can access these three things the minute you join the gang. But we all know they're accessing it very negatively. Does that make sense? But how do we put it in a language they care about? So when I first work with youth that are in gangs, they're usually standing right here next to this wall. They're dealing with failure, drugs, anger, fighting, who cares, they can't, family problems, academic problems. They're standing right here next to this wall. So my goal is to give them the social and emotional education so they can get on top of this wall right here and access true opportunity, freedom, self-respect. Now, how much do you think kids care about opportunity, freedom, self-respect? I was in New Jersey the other day speaking to 200 young men about opportunity, freedom, self-respect. You think they care about what I'm saying? They didn't give a damn about opportunity, freedom, self-respect. I can talk to them about, I'm going to show you how to access this, they didn't care. So I had to say to them, what are the three things you want more than anything in the world? Young men locked up in the New Jersey correctional system. What do you think is the number one answer? People would get out. What was the number? I heard it. Girls, thank you. Number one answer was girls. Number two, what do you think was? Money's number two. I love this a lot. Because 9 is honest, 9 is I don't want to come out there. Number three was a toss-up between money number two. Number three was a toss-up between respect and better food. When we took the survey, guess what they picked? Yeah, better food. So I said to them, look, I'm going to show you how to access those three things. Now, I apologize if I offend anybody here, but it has to be in a language they care about. Girls, money, better food. You could have heard a pin drop in that room for over an hour and a half. Does that make sense? The kids were into it because it was in a language they cared about. I told them, I said, I'm married to this beautiful girl named Wendy. Would I be with Wendy if I was locked up with you guys? They're laughing. No, I would not be with Wendy. I said, how much money? How much anybody making any money right now? No one was making any money. I said,